Well, all I'm gonna say right now is if you don't like CM Punk, I recommend you probably shouldn't watch this. And I recommend if you don't like the Young Bucks, I recommend you don't watch this. And if you like AEW and you like everything they do and you don't think that there's ever been a bad thing that's happened in AEW, and you just want to be positive about this whole situation, you probably shouldn't watch this because I am. If you love Tony Khan, I'm about to rumble his man in the I'm about to crumble this man's hope and dreams right here because this whole situation is nasty, and I'm gonna give a rundown from the start down to now. All started. CM Punk joins AEW. Alright, great. Gonna be a great thing for the company, right? Adam Page thinks that CM Punk is the reason is holding Colt Cabana back or got Cabana fired. And I'm gonna say right now, Colt Cabana, why are you worried about why Colt Cabana's not on television? There's obviously a reason why they don't put Colt Cabana on fucking television. Colt Cabana ain't good for wrestling. He is a indie wrestler, and that's all he's ever gonna fucking be. Like, let's be fucking for real now, man. Like, what is he gonna do? It's gonna be revolutionary to wrestling. Nothing. He's a comedy indie guy. There's no reason you need to be putting him on television, unless it's Ring of Honor, Dark or Elevation. Or maybe Rampage in that matter. Otherwise, there's no need to have Colt Cabana around. Right? And if you think that he needs to be around, then whatever. But that's what I think. And then Hangman calls Punk out on it on a promo during right before Double or Nothing, which unprofessional, shouldn't have done it. Punk, they go a couple months, don't worry about it. Someone asked Punk at the media scrum about, I think something about Colt Cabana, and CM Punk went off on him like he should have. Yes, he shouldn't have went that deep into the situation and go at it and like just kept going and going and going and disrespecting Tony the way he does or the way he did, but the man was frustrated. It was obvious the man was frustrated because people were blaming him on why a certain person was not there. There's no need to blame him for why Colt Cabana is not there. There's a good reason. There's an obvious reason why he's not there, right? And then of course the All Out thing happens. The Elite get into it with Punk, and we're never gonna know what exactly happened. We're not gonna know if Punk people are gonna say whatever, but it's either way, it's happened. It's over with. And then of course, Punk was hurt, so he kind of served his suspension longer because he was hurt. But the Elite, they had their 3-month suspension. They came back. And there were things about Punk trying to get a hold of the Elite, trying to get hey, let's squash the beef. Let's just squash the beef. Let's just do it. And the Elite did not want nothing to do with him. They didn't want to talk to him. They didn't want to do nothing. So that's where Collision gets involved. That's where Collision was made, because you got guys like Thunder Rosa, Miro, CM Punk, Andrade, that have had problems with other people on Dynamite and then of course the Elite didn't want to have nothing to do with Punk, so of course they had to make a show on Saturdays so they don't have to be associated with him. Okay, boom. That happened. It's there. It wasn't the best thing, but I will get into more in my thoughts on it. I'm just giving a rundown. So, a week before All Out happens, reports come out that Punk was supposed to have a meeting with the Elite right before they go to All Out, or All In. And the Elite canceled, apparently. The Elite says there was no thing, but Punk and other people thought that it was happening. Boom, didn't happen. Punk, he got to the hotel, or off the airplane at London or England or whatever, and next thing you know, no one's there to get him. He has to go through a train and get fans to help him go to the hotel room. Alright, cool, boom, that's over. Jungle Boy, Jack Perry. A couple weeks ago, them two get into it. Jungle Boy wanted to do a spot where he wanted to use real glass. Medical staff, Tony Schiavone said no. You don't know what they did? They said, CM Punk, can you go over there and give some sense into this guy and tell him not to do it? Punk told him not to do it, he throws a fit. Goes on All Out, an All In, on a 0 hour show, and says, real glass, go cry me a river. Okay, that happened. He gets back, CM Punk asks if there's a problem. Jungle Boy says, I'm just trying to get some heel heat. What heel heat are you trying to get here? Just honest question. And apparently, being a smart ass, Punk puts him in a chokehold, and apparently monitors fell on Tony and Samoa Joe broke up the fight. There is video footage of this, which I think the only way they're ever going to see that video is if Punk sues them and they need to see the video. But I'm going to give you what my thing is here. First off, we're going to go at it with Hangman here. You think he thought that someone got him fired, right? Or someone got Colt Cabana fired. Tony tried telling you no, and Punk denied all those. So why the fuck do you keep trying to bring it on? Why are you trying to keep instigating this whole situation here? When you know that CM Punk has a low tolerance for fucking bullshit. We've seen it in WWE. He doesn't like bullshit. And that's bullshit right there. That's first thing bullshit. Yes, Punk called him out, the EVPs and everything out on the media scrum, when they should have just dealt with it backstage. The thing happened. But when you're EVPs, when stuff like that happens, you should at least say that, hey, we need to squash the beef. We don't want to be associated. If you're an EVP, right, and have a altercation with someone, are you gonna sit there and say, oh, I don't want to see him, talk to him, or anything ever again? No! You want to squash the beef and move on in with life. Like, come on. Like, that's your guys, that's the EVPs of AEW. And I have never had a problem with Hangman, Kenny, or the Young Bucks. But that right there is bullshit. Sounds like bullshit right there. Then we get into, Jungle Boy. Or, here, we'll get into it with, the flight thing first. The guy who books the thing, or books the flight and stuff, is reportedly, if you went to his Twitter page a week or so ago, you could see he was friends with the Young Bucks and liked a bunch of tweets about people not liking Punk. So guess what? They call him out on it, and then guess what? He changes it. He changes his bio, changes his picture with him and the Young Bucks, and unlikes those tweets. Sorry, buddy, you still got fucking caught. That happened. Also, Punk was supposed to have a meeting with the Elite. Guess what? They called him off. They called it off right there. And if I was Punk, I was frustrated. I would be frustrated too. And then Jungle Boy, who goes on pay-per-view and sits there and says, go cry me a river and all this, when not many people knew what was the situation was when he said that, but told Punk that he wanted to get heel heat. The fuck you did, dude. Like, come the fuck on. He is a selfish little fucking prick. That's what it is. You're a fucking little prick is what he is. thinks that he is better than everyone else when he's not really that big the fucking star. Like, come on now. Let's get real. And I'm getting real. So, in that whole week, the Elite, they wanted to have the meeting to squash the beef. Canceled. Punk and the flight delay. Canceled. Boom, has this stuff with Jungle Boy. Canceled. Boom. I don't blame Punk for getting pissed off through that entire week with bullshit. I'd be fucking pissed off too when I have had altercations with people that are up in management and they keep trying to avoid me. I get pissed if one of the travel people mess up on my thing, mess that up or whatever, and we're friends with the boss and everything. And the only reason they got a fucking job is because of the fucking EVPs. And then of course I get pissed off when I've tried telling this fucking guy that he should not be using real glass because first off, infections can fucking happen. But guess what? Doesn't fucking listen. And goes on pay-per-view when you know Punk's on next. When you know Punk's being the professional and sitting there and waiting for his match to happen so he can go have a 16-minute banger matchup with Samoa Joe. A guy that you've been rivals with in Ring of Honor. A guy you've been friends with. Like, and you do that, and then you say it's for heel heat. You're gonna tell me the fans, they're gonna get heel heat from that? Come on now. Let's get fucking for real now. You're doing bullshit here. And then, of course, Punk did what he did. He attacked Jungle Boy. And yes, Punk should have not attacked Jungle Boy. I get that. But when you have to deal with all that, and when you have a low tolerance for bullshit, what the fuck do you expect to happen? When you know that he's gonna be pissed off about something, why do you instigate it? Why do you have to fucking instigate it? Right there, that's bullshit. But also, Jungle Boy is also buddies with Young Bucks. So this whole thing feels like a fucking setup to me. When you already know that you did all this, you don't want to be associated with him, with CM Punk, and then all this happens all in the same week. Like, and then people want to go on here and say that Punk's a cancer. He ain't a leader. We weren't talking a couple weeks ago we were talking about the backstage for Collision and Punk was being a leader. We were talking about how people were actually listening to Punk that are professional about some things. That actually respect the wrestling business. Tell me when I'm telling lies. And then, of course, you know, if they didn't trust Punk, if they didn't think he was a leader, if they didn't think he was doing all, why did they ask him, hey, go talk to Jungle Boy, tell him not to use the real glass? Did anyone ever think that? No. They want to sit there and they want to read reports off fucking Dave fucking Meltzer, who, and Dave Meltzer in 2023 is Shaquille O'Neal on the fucking Celtics. That's who Dave Meltzer is right now. And the man's fucking biased with every fucking thing. And I'm sorry I'm a little biased myself, but I am reading all these things on Twitter, and it's pissing me off because people are blaming one guy for this. When there should be more, everyone gets their blame, and everyone gets their share to blame. But you want to know who they should really blame for this entire thing? Tony Khan. Because he sits there as a wrestling fan and thinks, oh, I'm going to pick up all these guys and we're not going to have a single issue. Okay, sure. How many issues have you had in the last year and a half? You had Thunder Rosa and Britt Baker issue. You had Andrade and Sammy Guevara. You had Eddie Kingston and Sammy Guevara. You had the Punk and Elite stuff. Like, you're gonna think that there's no issues there, and there's no fucking leadership. What company has a fucking disciplinary committee? None. As a boss, you fucking do this yourself, and you put them down, and you say, hey, We're gonna make a fucking storyline out of this. We're making fucking money here. That's what you need to do. You need to bump up the ratings. That's one way to fucking do it. With how many people are so involved with backstage stuff now, you know that's gonna make money. Back then, yeah, not a lot of people have known, unless you read the Observer or whatever. That's the only thing Dave Meltzer was ever good at on his job, was doing his newsletters every week back in the fucking 80s and 90s, because not everyone could see what was happening. That's the only thing that fucking man's ever been good for. Let's just be honest here. So, when you look at it, Tony Khan, he has no fucking leadership in anything. People don't fucking fear Tony Khan. People thinking, oh, Fire and Punk, they're gonna be feared. No, the fuck they ain't. The fuck? They fired CM Punk. Oh my god. Oh my god. And then guess what? When you go to ask Tony Khan about it, oh, I can't do this because of investigations. And then saying that when he had his thing on Collision talking about why he fired him, sitting there like someone's telling him to say it. So obviously you could see him that Tony Khan got lawyers and everything involved in this. Or his legal team. And then the committee. I want to know who's on that fucking committee. Because if you don't know fucking wrestling, and if you don't know fucking money, and you don't know how to make money, and what's good for wrestling, he would have been fucking wrestling on All Out last night against Ricky Starks. Like, come on, people. And then you got EVPs walking around there. Like, no, nothing's happening here. Nothing's happening here. And the thing is, they didn't want to do nothing associated with it. When you're an EVP, you should at least have squash the beef and get over with it. But guess what? They didn't fucking do that. Hangman and it seemed like they squashed that beef a long time ago. And I get, sticking up for friends and everything, but like, that's not. You should realize. Yeah, my friend might have got fired, but is he really worth wrestling for the wrestling business? Is he really gonna be someone's gonna move ratings? No, and especially when you're trying to compete with WWE. And the thing is, people want to say, well, Punk did this in WWE too. Where did those reports come from? We never seen a thing with Punk getting in backstage fights in WWE. It was just his frustrations with doing everything that Vince wanted to do. He wanted that Punk fought Ryback, who was very dangerous in the ring, right? And then guess what? And then Ryback got pissed because Punk calls him out on not being safe in the ring. He did everything, and Punk put over people that were gonna work for 3 weeks and then we're not gonna see for months. I think the only exception to that is Undertaker. Wrestling the Undertaker is a big thing, but I get why he's mad. Brock Lesnar, I get why he's mad, but we never heard anything of Punk fighting backstage ever. And the thing is, WWE didn't even want the guy when he first started. They kept telling him that they didn't want him, while Paul Heyman's trying to get the man up and becoming one of the bigger stars. They have been trying to get Punk they've been trying to put Punk down for years now, and look, it hasn't changed yet. It's still happening in 2023. So, and he's always had a chip on his shoulder. So I don't blame him on why he's upset about this whole thing. But the people that are calling Punk the cancer here, no, you're the cancer. He tried becoming professional with them, and they didn't want to be professional with him. And then reports came out about him and William Regal. About, at Revolution, William Regal went to go shake his hand, and Punk told him they didn't like him and he didn't trust him because he's a Triple H stooge. At the time, Punk didn't like Triple H. People should have fucking known that by now. And if he doesn't like you, he's obviously going to say he doesn't like you. But guess what? Wasn't he just backstage at Raw about a couple months ago? Boom, talking to Triple H, talking to The Miz, squashing beef that he's been trying to squash for years now. Like, come on. But yet, Punk's the cancer. And the people that have a real problem with him, that don't like him, what the fuck have they ever done to wrestling? What have they done to say, this guy's gonna move ratings, this guy's gonna move merchandise sales? Not a goddamn thing. When the week Punk got fired, he was the top merchandise seller. And Punk is easily one of the biggest stars in the company. I'm not saying the biggest. When you got Moxley, Danielson, Starks, Kenny, Hangman, Adam Cole, MJF, those are some of their big stars too. I'm not going to sit there and say Punk was the only star. Those are their stars too. But Punk was a big, big star because of what he did in WWE. Because of what he did in his wrestling career. Everyone missed him. Everyone missed him and wanted him to come back to wrestling. And guess what he did? But then when you have EVPs that are being childish, and when you got an owner that is not a fucking leader and no one fucking fears him, like Vince McMahon, and I think a lot of people in there don't respect him. A lot of people don't respect Tony, and I'm gonna say that right now. I don't think a lot of them do. And they can sit there and say whatever they want about the company, and they can sit there and be happy, and the morale of the locker room's happy, but majority of them are happy because they don't have to deal with Punk because Punk calls them out on their bullshit. That's called discipline. That's called wanting everyone to be at their top and be at their best. But this whole CM Punk firing situation, it feels like it was a fucking setup from the start. And if that is, fuck everyone that was in it. But I'm gonna put the blame on everyone that was in the situation has a big blame for it. And I'm gonna put this in a bully perspective. Bully's a kid, right? Bullies him so much that the kid that got bullied retaliates, but he's the one that gets in trouble. If you've ever been in that story, that's pretty much how the Punk situation is. So, the bullies kept antagonizing, they kept doing all this stuff to one guy, and the guy retaliates, and he's the one that gets in trouble for it. And I'm sorry, if you're done with bullshit and you're tired of it, yeah, I'm gonna fucking snap and do something too. At least when Punk worked in WWE, he didn't have fucking childish people all around him. He just had frustrations with the boss because he gave everything to that company, and they didn't give him the one thing that he wanted, and that was a WrestleMania main event. And if you don't want, and my thing is, if you don't want to see yourself at the top, why the fuck are you in the wrestling business? Like, come on now. But I have never had a problem with Kenny, the Young Bucks, Hangman at all. The all-out situation happened last year. I lost a lot of respect for everyone that happened to it, even Punk, because I thought he could have been professional about it. And then he tries to be professional about it, and they want nothing to do with him. And then after Collision, Young Bucks doing victory laps in the middle of the ring. Yep, that's one way to celebrate firing one of your biggest stars, because you guys think you're the star here. Like, come on now. The only reason they were ever fucking stars is because Kenny Omega's fucking friends with them. Let's just be honest here. They're not the best tag team around. Give me a fucking break. They're talented, but they're not the best. Come on. But at the end of the day, if we're going to blame anyone, everyone should be pointing the finger right at fucking Tony Khan and says, you're the fucking reason why this happened. Because you could have fucking settled this year ago. You could have settled this almost 2 years ago when this whole thing came out. And guess what? You sit there and fucking do nothing and just say, oh, we're under investigation. Shut the fuck up, dude. You know, come on. And I'm honestly hoping that Punk goes back to WWE and watch him not have a single fight back there, because he actually has people that actually fucking respect the wrestling business, that don't treat wrestling like it's some fucking circus. Yeah, I get having your fun, but when it comes to wrestling and the wrestling business, your fun there can only go a long way. Just pointing that out. It really upsets me about this whole situation. And I'm gonna continue watching AEW because there's a lot of still talent there that I still like. Jericho is one of my favorites of all time. And Danielson's starting to get up there as one of my favorites of all time. So of course I'm gonna sit there and I'm gonna watch them. But if you're gonna, I'm not one of those people that are gonna hate people because of what they do backstage. But this whole situation's been nasty, and there's been no reason for it. When all this could have ended because one man should have been the leader and should have ended it months ago. But you know, I'm gonna hear people say, well, what would you do? Guess what I would have fucking done if this was happening at All Out, or at All Out last year, right? I would have sat them all down and say, hey, what is the situation here? How are we gonna fucking fix it? Otherwise, you're all fired. I would fire every single one of them. I don't give a damn. I would fire everyone that's in the situation. If you don't settle this, I'm firing and suspending one you guys until you guys can fix this. Suspending without pay. I would go fucking hard on them. Because at this point, this is bullshit. And then guess what? You'd put them in a fucking storyline and you make money out of it. That's what you do. Jungle Boy and CM Punk. You know how I do it? I'd set them down and see what the situation is. Tell Jungle Boy, you can't just be saying that right then and there when you know that when that guy's coming out next. Unprofessional. We want you to be we want you to become a number one guy soon. But doing shit like that ain't gonna help anyone's situation. Punk, you need to control your anger. I get you don't like bullshit, but you need to control it. If you're gonna get mad, come to me, come to someone and tell them why you're mad and so they can deal with it. And then after you squash the beef, and then guess what? Guess what you do after that? We make a fucking storyline and we make fucking money. Be professional. We're in the professional wrestling business. Not in the high school wrestling business, the professional wrestling business. That is how I would fucking handle it. And I sound like I'm going after one person here, and I'm trying not to be. But to the people that are blaming Punk for this is mainly for the people that are blaming Punk. Because I see people blaming Tony Khan, I see people blaming everyone. If you blame everyone, and then mostly blame Tony Khan, okay, then you can understand somewhat what my side is on this. But if you're blaming just one guy, this is your fucking sign that, you know, you should probably read the room a little bit. You should probably actually read and see what's going on. Because this is research I've been doing for the past fucking week now. I have it all scattered up on my fucking desk right now. And I also have it sitting right on my phone of everything that has happened over the last week. But, you know, CM Punk is fired. It happened. It's over with. AEW's going to live on without him. Punk's going to live on without them. Obviously. And the best situation is, I think this is the best situation for everybody. because overall, this is probably not the best thing that could have happened to the locker room. Morale-wise, this is probably the worst thing. And people, if you're sitting there, and again, blaming Punk, he ain't the only one blamed for why the morale in the locker room is bad. When Punk was, the Young Bucks, they could have settled this with Punk. Punk should have settled it with them, but guess what? He didn't. And it caused for chaos. And if you want to sit there and blame one guy for the morale, no. The morale was overall bad because Punk didn't want bullshit happening in Collision. So guess what? He said, "Hey, I don't really want these guys on here because it's bullshit. You already know. They don't want to be associated with me. I don't want to be associated with them until they want to be associated with me," kind of thing. Which I don't blame him. So overall, the locker room morale was going to be bad anyway. But for this situation, for both parties, this is probably the best situation for them. Punk's frustrated. Tony Khan, I get he's frustrated, but he should be more frustrated that his EVPs are not fucking being EVPs. And if I was Tony Khan, I'd remove the EVP off of each and every one of the people that are part of the Young Bucks. Kenny might be the only one I might keep. Because to me, this seems like more of the Young Bucks and CM Punk issue. Because they're jealous. But guess what? I'm going to still watch Dynamite, Rampage, and Collision every week. I'm still going to like the wrestling that they all produce. And we're going to live on with knowing what the situation is. And everyone's going to have their own opinion. But if you're blaming one guy, then you should probably read the room a little bit. That is all I got for today's episode. I hope you all enjoyed. I sincerely do y'all enjoyed this episode. Because I said on Twitter, XFactorMG5654, this is going to be a doozy. I feel like the ending of this last part of the episode was probably the biggest doozy of them all. But it's just upsetting is really what it is. And hopefully we see CM Punk back in wrestling soon. If we don't, then we'll live on. If we do, then we get to have at least a year or two left with him in wrestling. So, y'all have a great day. Tomorrow we're going to talk about Monday Night Raw. And we're going to have fun. And any other wrestling news that we have out. Comment down below your thoughts. Comment hot takes of wrestling or football down below. Or Twitter, XFactorFG5654. I say it every episode. And y'all have a really good day. Bye.